Hello everyone, Ryan the DarthDaimyo here with another tier list to keep the content flowing while I'm working on some bigger projects. Thank you everybody who's been watching the videos. We recently hit 15,000 views on the channel, which, isn't a lot in the grand scheme of YouTube, but it's a lot to me and I really appreciate the support. So thank you very much. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe and all that good stuff. So we're doing a tier list of my favorite genre of video games, farm sims slash life sim, cozy games, mostly farm sims. And I've got this tier list that I made of 100 of them, and I think it's actually 101 because I forgot something that absolutely needed to be on the list. No, I have not played every single one of these. Probably not even half, to be honest, but we're gonna go through these and give you my thoughts as best that I can. Even a lot of the ones I haven't played, I have watched other YouTubers play, but we'll go ahead and get started. And I'm not even gonna lie, the S tier is the Stardew Valley tier because it is the best. I don't care if I haven't played every farm sim in the world. It's the best, period. My favorite game, in my opinion, the best game ever made, but it's an opinion, and you know what they say about opinions. Everybody's got one. Then the rest of the tiers, we've got the Harvest Goddess tier, A, the Large White Egg tier, B, the Save the Homeland tier, C tier, the Return to GameStop tier, and then for ones I haven't played, there's the absolute must-play tier, aka the Haunted Chocolatier. Get it? The Haunted Chocolatier. And then games I haven't played but I want to, and games I haven't played and I don't really have any interest in. So I've tried to organize these a little bit. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of Harvest Moon and Story of Seasons, but there's other things as well. And this might take a minute, so let's go ahead and get started with Palia, the free MMO RPG farm sim that's available on Switch. It's free with microtransactions. I did play it for an hour or so. I didn't particularly enjoy it. However, I was also playing it by myself. I couldn't get anyone else in the house to play it with me. I think it could be fun to play with multiple people, but I wasn't really digging it playing solo. But again, that's not really how it was designed to be played. So for now, we're going to put it in the C tier, Save the Homeland tier. I might come back to it again in the future if I have someone to play it with, but as of right now, not any interest in pursuing that further. Roots of Pacha. I have been waiting for this game to release forever, and it did semi-recently, and I did buy it. However, I haven't gotten a chance to sit down and play this. It's the Stone Age farm sim, and I love animals, and I love that you can, raise and tame Stone Age animals, and that's just like the coolest thing in the world. And I have watched a little bit of gameplay. Sharky Games played this with the devs, so I watched a little bit of that, but mostly I've avoided Roots of Pacha content because I do intend to go hard on this game at some point. Cult of the Lamb. This one's a bit of an oddball, not a farm sim, kind of, but there is farming. You're a lamb who's starting a cult, and you have to grow your cult, and you have an area that's like a farm, and you do have to plant and grow food for your followers, but you also have to build up your cult and a church and all this other stuff. So it kind of falls within the vein. It's very good. I have played it, and I have played it some on my other channel, The Horror of Babylon, which is a weekly horror book club podcast, and we do a little bit of horror gaming as well. So that is linked in the notes if you want to check out that channel and see some of my videos there. I might import them onto this channel at some point too. I haven't had a lot of time to spend on this game, mostly because I play it for the other channel and haven't picked it up in a long time, but I do really enjoy it. I think it could be an A tier game, but right now I'm going to put it in B, the Large White Egg tier, just because I haven't had a ton of time to commit to it. Okay, Coral Island. I have not played this, but I have watched Sharky Games play this a lot, to the point where I'm not even sure like I really am going to play it because I've watched so much of it. But it does look cool. The character designs are very pretty. I prefer something. I prefer pixel games or something cuter. But I do like Coral Island, and the gameplay seems good, and there's a lot to do aside from the mines. The mines look kind of crummy. But yes, I do want to play this game. Evergreen Valley would be the same. Watch Sharky Games play it. Not as much because he doesn't play this as much as he does other games, but it does look cool. Not a ton to say. This Traveler's Rest is an absolute must play. It's kind of the opposite of Coral Island, where I have also watched a ton of content on this game. I believe I've watched all of Sharky Games videos on it, some of them twice. But I will absolutely play this game. I'm waiting for a full release. It's still in whatever they call it in Steam, where you're paying for half a game. It's that. So I'm hoping to wait until it gets full released, and maybe also comes out on Switch. I prefer to play on Switch than on PC, but I absolutely will play this game. Even if it never gets fully released, I'll eventually break down and buy the whatever they call it on Steam when you pay for half a game. I forget what it's called. But this game is totally awesome. I love watching Sharky play. It's so much fun. Dinkum, this is the like Animal Crossing in the Australian outback. I really do want to play this game, and I've watched a little bit of content on it. And it looks pretty cool. Graveyard Keeper. Oh, where do we put Graveyard Keeper? I do own and play Graveyard Keeper. I do like it a lot, but it is very, very hard. Like, I find it to be extremely difficult. Like Cult of the Lamb, I'm not super far into it. I feel like I could rank it higher once I get deeper into it and get better at it. I don't know if it's definitely not Save the Homeland tier. I'm going to put it in the large white egg tier for now, and possible upgrade to the Harvest Goddess tier at a future point. It is a very good game. If you want something different from the farming genre, then I do recommend Graveyard Keeper. Also, can't get enough of the Communist Donkey. For sure. Kinseed, this game is beautiful. I have not played it myself, but I love the pixel art on it. It's a farming sim. It's a multi-generational farming sim where your character can actually get married, have children, and then die, and then you play as the children and then carry it on, and then those children can have children, and so on and so forth. But not only that, but the townspeople do the same. The townspeople will grow old and die, and their children will take their place. So this game is super cool. I really want to play this as well, but I'm not sure it goes in the same rank as Haunted Chocolatier, Traveler's Rest, and Roots of Pacha. Shepherd's Crossing. This game is totally awesome. It's sort of a farm ranch sim where you get to have a farm, and it's more about raising animals, but it's not traditional farm animals. Like, the whole point of the game is to get a sheep. Once you get a sheep, you beat the game, because that's like the ultimate honor for farmers in like the Shepherd's Crossing community, is to own a sheep. But you start out with like marmots, and you can raise weasels and rabbits, and you also raise hunting dogs, and you take the dogs out hunting, and that's how you capture animals. But in the battle system, when you take dogs out hunting, is like a Final Fantasy-esque turn-based RPG. Really, really unique, like more so than any other game. It not in the same way that Graveyard Keeper is unique. Graveyard Keeper is unique because it has its own like world, and it's about taking care of a graveyard as opposed to taking care of a farm. But just in terms of like every decision that a typical farm RPG makes, Shepherd Crossing takes like the alternate route. Shepherd's Crossing 2 I've never played, and I'd like to play, but probably never will. It was only on the DS, had a very limited release. The games are super expensive to get, so I'm actually just going to Google that right now. Shepherd's Crossing 2, Nintendo DS, eBay. Well, The first one is a graded one for $4,000. $1,500. A little bit of a difference there. Let's see if we can find one that we wouldn't have to crack open. Okay, here's a complete one with the case, the cartridge, and the manual. $415. Yikes. Okay. $408. There's also a PSP one that's not on this list that I think I found on here for like $70. Well, here's a DS cartridge only for $209.99. That's a deal. Here's the PSP one for $44.99. The PS2 one, the original, can also be expensive, but not like that, like $20 to $40 expensive. So if you get a chance to play that, even if you have, I recommend it. It's a ton of fun. Definitely goes in the Harvest Goddess tier. I need water. Okay, Slime Rancher, Slime Rancher 2, and Slime Rancher Portable. Very popular games. I've looked at a little bit of gameplay. It just doesn't seem like something I'm interested in. No offense to people who do like those games. Okay, so this next batch here is the Harvest Moon games, like post the Marvelous and Natsume breakup. We're going to go ahead and do the original Harvest Moon games first. Actually, maybe we'll save Harvest Moon for last and do some of these other games. Okay, so Harvest Moon, Story of Seasons, Innocent Life. So this is the Marvelous Natsume sci-fi Harvest Moon. I do own this, and I absolutely will play it at some point. I will probably play it for the channel. I have not played it yet. I've owned it for years and just never sat down and played it. Really want to. Rune Factory is the Marvelous Natsume Fantasy Harvest Moon. I think I don't think I've ever played it. We had one of the Wii ones, and my better half played it, and I watched her play it some, and it seemed fine. I don't know that I'm ever going to invest time in doing it. So, maybe I'll pick up one of these Rune Factory games at some point and try them. And I guess it would probably be either one of the newer ones for the Switch or the one for Wii. No, I don't even think we have it anymore. Honestly, I'm probably never going to. But I don't know. If somebody wants me to play it, comment below, and maybe I'll make that a thing. Okay, cool. Continue going. Animal Crossing, the original for the GameCube. My brother and I had this. I think I still have a copy. Looks over its shelf. No, I don't have one. Okay, well, had this game, played it a good amount, had a lot of fun with it. I enjoyed it. I never got like hardcore into it, but I did like it. I think I was also really into Harvest Moon at the time, so didn't have as much of my free time that I was willing to sink into Animal Crossing. I think it would have been, I'm not sure what the most recent Harvest Moon game was at the time, but it may have been during A Wonderful Life, which I was really into that game, so. But it is good. Put it in the large white egg tier. And then the DS one, I never played and probably never will play. Same for the 3DS one. Now, of course, the Switch one that everybody loves, I have maybe played 5 minutes of. My better half and my daughter really got into this game during COVID, like a lot of people. I was playing something else at the time when COVID first started and started working at home. I upped my video games a lot, and I actually made a list of stuff that I had wanted to play and never finished. I think I played through the original Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch, the Spyro Reignited trilogy, and Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Those are the 3 games I spent a lot of time on in that era when everybody was super into the new Animal Crossing for the Switch. I am probably going to play this eventually. Uh, I mean, I have played it, just not for any real time investment. Probably going to wait for my better half and my daughter to get back into it, so they circle back around, and then at that point I'll play it. Okay, so now we've got Harvest Moon and Story of Seasons. Okay, My Time at Portia and My Time at Sandrock. I know these are really popular games, and I have not played them at all. They look cool. I've seen a little gameplay. I haven't really like watched content on them, but they look cool. I will probably play those at some point, but it's not like a must play. Okay. Paleo Pines. That's the dinosaur farm RPG. I did watch Sharky play that one. It seemed fine. I'm probably not going to play it. Sakuna of Rice and something. That's the rice farming game. The art on this one is beautiful. Like, if I was making like a ranking based on the art of all these games, Sakuna would probably be in the A or the S tier because the game is so pretty, and I do want to play it, but I wouldn't consider it a must play. Dreamlight Valley, the Disney farm RPG, will play. I do own, and just haven't made time for yet. The family saw it and was interested. We're all big Stardew Valley people. We all play a lot of Stardew Valley. And so I was like, oh, this is Disney Stardew Valley, because we're also, big Disney family. We're playing Lorcana right now. If you haven't tried it, the game is fun. So this is just like a natural progression for us to play. And like I said, do own it. Just haven't made time for it yet. Too many video games, not enough time. You know what it's like. Okay. No Place Like Home. This is like the post-apocalyptic farm RPG where you basically have to clean up a lot of trash and recycle the trash to make farm equipment. It looks cool, and I'd like to play it, but I don't know if it ranks up there with the rest of those. As I'm seeing this list kind of form, I think I do want to bump Kinseed up because that game just looks really cool. Plus, I love the pixel art. Sunhaven is the fantasy RPG, farm sim RPG, where you could choose like different races and stuff, and there's dragons, and it looks cool. Love the pixel art. Do want to play it, and it has multiplayer. Terraria I've never played, which is probably a sin for some people. Same with Littlewood and Pixelshire and Orange Season. Like, they are pixel games, and that is cool, but just seems like there's better stuff to play. Garden Paws I don't really have any interest in playing. Little Witch in the Woods, that is another one of those ones where it's whatever you call it in Steam, where you don't pay for the full game. I forget. But I actually did that because this game is so cool. I've only played a little bit of it, but my daughter has actually played all of it, and she's waiting for them to release more of it. It's a really cool game, really pretty, very, I think very Studio Ghibli inspired. So I'm going to put, even though I've only played a little bit of it, I'm going to put it in the large white egg tier, another one that could possibly, when the full game is released and really get to dive into it, could see going up into the Harvest Goddess tier. Okay, let's try and trim some weeds here. I've never played Monster Harvest, probably not going to. Hoko Life I don't have any interest in. One Lonely Outpost, I've watched Sharky play a little bit, and it seems okay, but probably not going to get to. Moonstone Island, I will absolutely play. This is like the Studio Ghibli, Legend of Zelda inspired farm sim and monster collecting game, so it's like a Stardew Valley meets Pokemon. I have watched a bunch of content on it. It looks absolutely gorgeous. I think this is another one that, like Traveler's Rest, I'm waiting for a full release and a Switch release. Really want to play this game. Super excited. It looks absolutely awesome. The Ranchers. This is a game that's like It's a farm sim, but instead of using a water pail, or a watering can, you could just pick up that hose and hose down your crops. And I think this is the one where you can use like a drone to plan out your farm, and you have a smartphone, and that stuff is cool. I think it has lots of technology. I might try it at some point, but I don't really like how the game is marketed, because it's like, why would you spend hours with a watering can when you can just spray down your crops with a hose? I'm like, yeah, okay, that makes sense, but like the kind of the charm of these games is going back to a simpler time, and being able to appreciate that the work that you put into it. So yeah. Okay. Fae Farm, don't really have any interest in. Same with Dave the Diver. I to be honest, I don't think I've ever even seen gameplay of Dave the Diver, and I do know it's popular, so probably not a fair shake there. But if I saw some gameplay, maybe I would change the mind. Harvestella is Square Enix's like farm sim RPG. It looks pretty, but probably never gonna play it. Cornucopia looks unique, and I like the look of it, but just being honest, probably never gonna invest time into it. Eastward, want to play. Game looks beautiful. Chef RPG, also want to try. Sharky Games really touts that game a lot. Minecraft, so not strictly a farm sim, but definitely like farm sim adjacent. Uh, I don't play Minecraft on my own, but I do play it with my kids, and honestly, we kind of play it a lot. Maybe not as much as Stardew Valley, but definitely rivals Stardew Valley. So maybe just on its own merits, it probably deserves that Harvest Goddess tier. But since this is a farm sim list, I'm actually going to put it in the large white egg tier. But I mean, you don't need me to tell you why Minecraft is cool. It's Minecraft. Okay, I think that's everything. It's now we're down to just Harvest Moon and Story of Seasons. And I've kind of got these broken up here by like post Marvelous breakup Harvest Moon, then Story of Seasons, which is the Marvelous games now after the breakup, and then the OG like collabs between the Marvelous games that were released in North America under Natsume as Harvest Moon. And if there are some that I put on the wrong end, I'm sorry. It probably around that like latter DS 3DS age, I might have mixed up on some of those, but if that happens, I'm sorry. Okay, so I'll go ahead and start with like the Natsume original Harvest Moon games. And if you're not familiar with the story, like Marvelous was the production studio in Japan that made I'm not going to try and say the Japanese, but basically they made Harvest Moon, and it was released in North America under the licensor Natsume, who had a copyright on the name Harvest Moon. So when the two companies broke up, Natsume could continue to release games, and they paired with a new production company, and they continued to make Harvest Moon games, whereas Marvelous had to get a new licensor for North America, and they had to rebrand. Even though they were the makers of the actual Harvest Moon games, they couldn't keep the name anymore because Natsume owned that. So they're now released in North America as Story of Seasons. Basically the Japanese translates to Ranch Story. I think just that doesn't sound as good as Harvest Moon or even a Story of Seasons. Okay, so these are the Natsume ones post breakup. I'm not going to play any of them probably ever, if I'm being honest. The only one that sort of was interested, I actually have played a little Seed of Memories. So Seed of Memories is the mobile one, and I do have that on. I have gotten that on my phone. I do not like it. It's not fun. But these games are generally considered to be less good than the Story of Season games because they're produced by different people. The one I am a little interested in is Harvest Moon Lil Farmers, which is like a tablet game for kids, and I think that is something my son would be interested in. So we may try that with him at some point. Um, Although I do like the art on a lot of these, especially like the key art. Uh, but like One World, I love the key art on Harvest Moon One World, and also this one, the new one, The Winds of Whatever. But just substance wise, they don't seem to be great. We do own Harvest Moon Light of Hope, and my better half and my daughter have played it, and they like it enough, but not as good as Stardew Valley or the older Harvest Moon games. Okay, so this new Story of Season games. Some of these I want to play, some of them not so much. So there's like the DS ones I'm probably never going to spend time on, just being completely honest. Pioneers of Olive Town, I would like to play. That one's on console. This is, I absolutely will play Story of Seasons Friends of Mineral Town, which is a remake of my all-time favorite Harvest Moon game, Harvest Moon Back to Nature, or a remake of Harvest Moon Friends of Mineral Town, which is the DS remake of Harvest Moon Back to Nature, which was a PS1 Harvest Moon title. Absolutely will play this, and will absolutely also play Story of Seasons A Wonderful Life, which is the Switch PC remake of Harvest Moon A Wonderful Life, which was PS2 and GameCube. Absolutely love that game. I mentioned it earlier. And then Story of Seasons Doraemon probably won't play. Okay. Now I think all of these are marvelous Harvest Moon titles. If not, I apologize. I'm not exactly sure when they broke up. It was sometime in that like DS, maybe 3DS era. Whatever. Okay, starting with the OG Harvest Moon for the Super Nintendo. This at the start of COVID, this was another game that I played that I always wanted. I had played this game a lot since I was a kid, on and off, but never sat down and played it to the finish. And in like 2020, 2021, I did play this one all the way through, along with Ni no Kuni and Spyro Reignited and KOTOR. Like I said earlier, the game is amazing. It's a revolution. Probably none of these other games would exist without it. Absolutely love it. But being the first one, I would say that it doesn't have a lot of the features that the other games have, obviously. But on the other hand, the pixel art is gorgeous, and it did do a lot of mechanics that continue on through the rest of these: plant cropping, crops, raising animals, marriage, foraging, festivals, like all this stuff. It all comes from this game. It is extremely repetitive, like more so than any other game. This genre just tends to be repetitive, which is just kind of something that goes along with it. Either you're on board or you're not. But the original Harvest Moon more so, because it had less features and mechanics than, all the newer games. So I'm going to put it at the top of the large white egg tier. Really good. Just, it is what it is. Okay. Harvest Moon for the Game Boy. Not exactly the same game as Harvest Moon for the Super NES, but very similar, very limited in what you can do. And then it was re-released on Game Boy Color and Harvest Moon 2 GBC and Harvest Moon 3 GBC, kind of all the same. Okay games, not great games. Just like as repetitive as the Super Nintendo one, but without the history and downgraded graphics because they're on the Game Boy, so they're okay. There's worse games you can spend your time on. Harvest Moon 64. Wow. This is definitely in my top 3 Harvest Moon games of all time. Just moving from the Super Nintendo and the Game Boy to the 64 making the world bigger, more characters, more interactions, more things you can do, more festivals. I have played this one from start to finish and done replays. I love it. Probably the only Harvest Moon game that's better is my all-time favorite Harvest Moon game, and the game I identified as my all-time favorite game prior to Stardew Valley is Harvest Moon Back to Nature. I will admit I am biased because it was the first one I ever played, but I mean it changed my life. Like I before this, like the only games that I ever got like really super into were Pokemon and some other Nintendo stuff. I did play other video games, but like I never really got into like shooters. Like my brother was really into James Bond, like GoldenEye 007, and a lot of my friends at school really love that game, and I'm just like, it's okay. But then, I find this game where you can plant corn and raise cows and collect eggs from your chickens and marry a cute girl in town. Like this, I was like, this is me. Like this and Pokemon, these are the things I want to do. Save the Homeland was so disappointing. It had a tier named after it. This was the first one that I like picked up after playing Back to Nature. I was like, oh, this one is on the PS2. It's got better graphics. It's going to be even better. And it's not. I think a big thing with Save the Homeland for me was, even as a kid, I got sick of the cutscenes, like constant cutscenes. I did like that it had multiple endings. I think it's the first one since the original to have multiple endings, which is cool. But the game itself, the key art is cute, but the graphics in the game just aren't as charming as 64 and Back to Nature or the original, so that hurt it as well. I feel like it had less crops than Back to Nature too, but I could be wrong. But for all the failures of Save the Homeland, man, they made up for it in A Wonderful Life. On the GameCube, this game is amazing, and it had a re-release as Another Wonderful Life where you could play as a girl, because let's just release a whole new game instead of just giving you the option. And the special edition, Harvest Moon, Harvest Moon, A Wonderful Life Special on the PS2. These games are, I guess technically I haven't played that one. It's the same game though. These games are amazing. If you could only play 3 of the original Harvest Moon games, I would probably, like, these are my 3. Back to Nature, 64, and A Wonderful Life are my 3 favorites. I might drop one of those for the original, because everybody who loves like Stardew Valley and this genre of video games should play the original Harvest Moon, at least for a little bit, just for the experience. But yeah. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. Magical Melody, the other GameCube one where you like collect music notes. I haven't played it. I think I have 2 copies of it. I will play that at some point. I just have not gotten around to it. Tree of Tranquility. This game is totally awesome. Also, this was the first one on the Wii. It has extremely cute art, huge world, a lot of things you can do. At the point when this game came out, I was living in the dorms, and she was my girlfriend at the time. She and I were like fighting over the Wii. Like, we bought a Wii together, and we had dorm rooms like across the hall from each other. And like every day we're like, give me the Wii. No, you give me the Wii. And like, okay, well, it's hooked up. I'm going to play in your room while you study, and I'll play in your room while you study. And this, like, I think we even like got in like a real fight over it once. We both wanted to play it so much. And I think we even like had to like put on a timer. Like, okay, you play for an hour, then I play for an hour. Like, this game was super addicting. The other one for the Wii is Animal Parade, which is kind of in the same vein. I own this and will play it, but I just haven't had time to sit down with it, in the past 15 years, however long it's been, 12 years, something like that. More Friends with Mineral Town is the Game Boy Advance remake of Back to Nature. I actually have a weird thing about this game because it was more widely released then Back to Nature. So I think it's the more popular of the two, even though it's like a strictly worse version of Back to Nature because it has like the downgraded portable graphics. But it's the one that like people bring. Oh, Friends of Mineral Town, that's so good. I was like, no, Back to Nature is good. Like Friends of Mineral Town is the crummy remake for the Game Boy. So much so, in fact, that the remake is Story of Seasons, Friends of Mineral Town. I was like, it should be Story of Seasons Back to Nature, but whatever. It is what it is. The game is good. Not as good as a lot of the others. I put in the large white egg tier. And then more Friends of Mineral Town is just like Another Wonderful Life. Same game, but you can play as a girl. I haven't played that. So the first Harvest Moon on the DS was Harvest Moon DS. And then they released Harvest Moon DS Cute, which is the same game, but you could play as a girl. I missed those. I think they released them around the same time of Tree of Tranquility, and I was still playing that a lot. I did get Harvest Moon DS Islands of Happiness when it came out, and I returned it to GameStop. I disliked it so much. And that's why this D is the return to GameStop tier. I think you couldn't move with the D-pad. You had to move with the stylus, and I couldn't get over that. Didn't like it. And then the sequel is Sunshine Islands, which I never played. Frantic Farming. Okay, so Frantic Farming is actually a puzzle game. It was the mobile puzzle game, which I think I still have on my phone. Don't like it at all. I don't even know why I still have it, but I think probably because I paid for it. It was like like $5 or something, like 10 years ago. Probably the first app I ever paid for. You know, one of like less than 10 apps that I've paid for in my entire life. And then there was a DS version, which I will never play because I don't like the original. Puzzle Day Harvest Moon, never played. And then the two PSP ones. I think Harvest Moon Boy and Girl is another remake of Back to Nature, and then Hero Leaf Valley I know nothing about. I'm not going to play Boy and Girl because I would just play Back to Nature, and just I had a PSP for a hot minute, but that PSP might be like my least favorite game system of all time. Just had so many issues. But yeah, that's it. Oh my goodness, almost 38 minutes in, and that's the ranking list. Stardew Valley is king. I absolutely love a lot of these older Harvest Moon titles. Cult of the Lamb, Graveyard Keeper, Shepherd's Crossing, of course, Animal Crossing and Minecraft. You don't need me to tell you those games are great. Really looking forward to playing Haunted Chocolatier, Roots of Patcha, Traveler's Rest, Kinsey, Dreamlight Valley, Moonstone Island. Yeah, I've played a lot less of these than I thought I did. All right, well, thank you. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I really appreciate the support. I need to figure out a sign off for these videos. Bye!